Hello, everyone. This month we read The Witch King by Martha Wells. I wish that the pop-up would get off of my face so I can see if I'm holding the book in the right spot.
You are perfect.
Um, yep, this is uh, we'll get into it. I don't have much to say at the moment, so uh, maybe we'll start with general impressions. I'll go first since it was mine. So it was okay. I wasn't wowed or anything. I think my expectations might have been a bit too high considering how much I love Murderbot. So I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. It was just good in general. Um, yeah, I don't have much to say just yet, but who wants to go next? I'm just going to go the way the computer is telling me is in order. Sarah, you go next.
Oh, me. I DNF'd.
Yep. Right.
But
Yes, you did say.
I'm kind of curious, but I wasn't curious
Mm.
enough to continue. I also had high expectations because I really enjoyed the sci-fi. I thought it was just, at first I was like, oh, maybe it's because of the fantasy thing and names. And I was like constantly looking names up and I'm like, some of these names are like so similar. I was getting confused.
Yeah.
And then I reflected and like, no, I've read plenty of fantasy and not had this problem. So um, I think Alyssa might have said something in some chats about just, or was it Lisa? Lisa something like, I keep waiting for the story to start, and that's kind of how I was, and that's why I DNF'd because Lisa and Alyssa were ahead of me, and I thought, okay, so yeah. But I'm curious to know how it went and kind of like what we think of Martha Wells as a fantasy writer because we know her more for her sci-fi comedy. So yeah. And action.
Uh,
She's a great action writer.
yes.
So,
Alyssa?
Um, it just continued to not grab me and not grab me, and we were in danger of not finishing. So I actually bought it on Audible. Since I'd already owned the book, it was uh, a mere fraction of what it would have cost. And we listened to it, so we finished it, but I don't have a real sense of what happened and why it happened. And I adore Murderbot, and I've read all of them, including all her shorts, multiple times. It does not bore me at all. And this one, I only read multiple times because I couldn't get into it and had to start over twice. Yeah.
Shane?
What Kim said and what Sarah said and what Alyssa said. Um, yeah, no, absolutely. And it felt like it started in the middle. Um, uh, the, I like fantasy world building generally. I may have mentioned that on the last Mark Lawrence book. Like, yay, good for a good, interesting world to be built. But it just felt like we were in listening in on a conversation between two people who were communicating mostly in nods and eyebrows, and we never got inside that. And like Murderbot is also a really detailed world that you don't get any context from, but it just landed so much easier, and this one was just so confusing to figure out who was
Yeah.
doing what. So I I enjoyed the story, but I really found it hard to like connect to. Yeah.
started, and so I'm just doing some tidy up stuff. Yeah,
Uh,
we'll talk about it after.
oh, Kirsten, I missed you, didn't I?
Um, Same as what everyone else has said.
Yep.
Really. I same thing. Loved Murderbot so much, and so I did have high expectations for this. I started listening to the audiobook. I nearly DNF'd when I listened to that whole fucking I forget what they call it, the list of characters. And I was like, I'm not going to remember all of these. And I'm like, this would be really useful if this was a physical book because I could flick back and go, who the hell was that again? Can't do that in an audiobook. So I was already like, I'm never going to remember who any of these people are. But another thing that I found challenging about the audiobook, besides children spying on me, is
Do you want to go upstairs? Is that what it is?
I kept getting mixed up between because it kept going past, present, and I'd be like, And I don't always get to end my audiobook at the end of a chapter because I'm often driving or whatever, and I end it when I end. And then I start listening again and I'm like, are we in the past or the present? I can't remember. I can't remember who half these people are. And like I saw Lisa's comment about I'm waiting for the story to start. And I was like, I'm 3/4 of the way through and I still feel like that. Like, what's the point of this story? Like, and I never finished it. I forgot to tell you this part. I was going to finish it. I had 2 hours to go today. And I was like, I've got time to listen to the last 2 hours before the hangout starts. And then a friend came and visited. So I never got to listen to the last 2 hours. But I probably will finish it because it's such a short amount to go. And I'm like, it's like a sunk cost thing. But I was like, I still, with 2 hours left in the audiobook to go, I still have no idea what is the point of the story or what's going on. Like, what was the central, apart from one chick whose name I can't remember trying to get her wife back, I don't really understand what the point of the rest of the story was. I hope maybe someone else can help me with this, but like, no, I don't know.
Right. Naomi?
Okay, this is all making me feel a lot better about DNFing it because I just felt stupid because I didn't get it. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't get what was going on. I didn't understand. Like, I just didn't, like, wasn't grabbing me. The characters weren't grabbing me. Like, just it wasn't for me. And I was like, maybe I'm just not in the mood for it, or maybe it's just, maybe it's me. Because, I'm very much a mood reader. So sometimes I'll start reading a book that I just don't get into, and it's nothing to do with the book. But this is making me feel like this is not a me problem. This is the book's problem. Like, I got it as an audiobook from the library, and I had the same issue you did, Kirsten, with the long list of characters. I'm like, I don't fucking remember any of these people. It's hard enough remembering their names when I'm listening to them in the story, let alone just a list of character names. Like, that's no use to me in an audiobook.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
yes.
I have to say with the names in the audiobook, because there's like Taran and Darhan and Asham and Faran and Naren and Kavinan and Tanna, and then there's Tanis and who was the other one? Aklinus. And I kept getting all of them mixed up in the audiobook, like Sarah was saying. And they were too similar that I was like, who was that one again? What name did they just say? I couldn't pick it apart, and then I was just thrown. I think a lot of it, like there was lots of good, like there was a lot going on, and I don't think they really delved into anything in particular. It was lots of different things that went from one to the other. And I'm like, oh, that'd be interesting, but should have done more on that bit or more on that bit and not jumped around so much. Yeah, yeah. That's what I felt. It just was too much, and not enough of each item. She should have picked a couple of the stories as they were going along to really get into a bit more meatier. And yeah, I wanted to know a bit more about I keep forgetting the Z lady, flying lady, and her wife. I would like to know a bit more about that. I would like to know a bit more about Kai and Bashat, or the relationships. And I think a lot of us very much like the relationships in reading, and I think it was a little light on the actual relationships, like the heavy stuff in the relationships. And it was more trying to get through an adventure story that just didn't go into the details enough, at least for me. I think maybe for some of us as well.
I didn't care enough about the people.
Yeah, I didn't care enough.
I didn't I'm like, okay, there's people here doing a bunch of things, but I don't care what the outcome is of all these things because I don't care about the characters enough.
Yeah, and I get very bored with political stories, and there was a lot of political stuff, and it bores me. I just can't get into it.
It's like the prequels, Star Wars prequels. I have no idea because they're all so. I'm like, I don't like political. No, Lisa.
Hey,
Share
Hi.
your thoughts.
Share my thoughts. Am I interrupting someone else?
No, we just sort of started to get into bits, but yeah, share your thoughts before we go any further.
I'm going to be unusually scathing because that's not really.
Oh no, that's all right. No, it was pretty much general. No.
So I'm DNFing because I was more than halfway, nearly 2/3 of the way, and I'm like, let's see. They were in a dungeon, got out, got on a boat, which was a whale. That was cool. Got on another boat, and now they've met someone who criticised them for having the boat. That's pretty much a summary of the story so far with some back history. I don't know. It's just going way too slowly for me. Maybe I'm just impatient. You know, I would accept that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But
As like,
yeah,
it's
no,
like a lot of
definitely.
stuff, but not a lot of substance in those stuff.
Yeah, yeah. And I
Yeah.
think possibly I was hoping for more action. Like I'll
Mm.
grant that. This is clearly not that kind of book. So yeah, there you go. That's my summary. Too boring to finish.
I was
Yeah,
just
you,
saying,
no more
Lisa,
skating than the rest of us.
when you posted saying I've read this much and the story hasn't started yet, I was about 3/4 through and I was like, but it still hasn't started yet.
Yeah, and your comment gave me the permission to DNF it, because I was like already feeling that way. I'm like, okay, Lisa says it hasn't started and she's 50% of the way there. That's exactly how I feel. So thank you for saying what we all thought.
I feel like maybe it's like the Silmarillion, where like it's a book that she's setting up to be part of a huge saga. Um, that's what I wondered whether that's what it was because there's so much history, but
Maybe because I've tried to read the Silmarillion about 5 times and I still can't get through that one either.
Yeah.
yeah. No, I
The
haven't.
Yeah.
interest the interesting thing with sagas are that you have to have, like, the one that jumps to my mind is Game of Thrones, right? And that, like, the Fire of Song of Ice, and you've got these chapters from characters' perspectives, and then you move around the characters. And I remember even when I was watching the show, we'd go back, okay, oh, we're back to the guys on the wall. I'd forgotten about them. We did that a lot. But I feel like there was something in this, exactly what Shane said, where there were just, deep and meaningful looks, and we were sitting there like going, okay. But the jumping back to the past, which was all
Be right
basically
back, honey.
exposition, but I was like, either you're telling, like, I think part of the problem I had was you're trying to set up this world by putting it back in the past, but I'm like, be either one or the other. Either tell the story of now or tell the story of the past, because they're just like neither of them doing any like there's anyway, that's what was my biggest thing, was like it's either one or the other. You're
Mm.
either got the mystery and you learn about the past as you go, but yeah, that was my
Yeah,
biggest.
I don't think that
Points.
worked well together. I don't think it
Yeah.
really added too much to the part that was in the now. It's like
Mm,
the past story was quite interesting, but it didn't like it for me. It didn't really add much to the now story, which was more
mm.
action and
Yeah.
from one thing to the other, adventure action sort
Interesting.
of thing. It sort of just didn't merge well.
Elizabeth
Says I've
was
got
going to say something, I think.
Sorry, listen.
Yeah, sorry. I'd like to grab hold of this a bit and check. Shane and I were the only people who finished it, right?
Oh, I did finish it
Oh,
just.
okay.
Yeah.
Well done, Kim.
Okay. So I think there was two stories that are kind of in parallel.
Mm.
One is what happened in the past and the betrayal and how this world gets set up with
Mm,
have the evil, truly evil people who seem to be the religious nutters who don't like demons, but as in our Earth world, one culture has their gods who the next culture down the valley calls demons, and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
So the good guys here are the demons, and the bad guys are the religious nuts who hate demons, right? So they're committing. So it seems like the past is all about this treason and trying to get um, Kai and Zedi out of the way so they can just take over, so they could be the political power in charge. Is that correct, Shane?
Yeah,
This is as good as
And
mine.
then
sort of. Yeah.
you're asking us.
in the
She
current
did say
world,
Shane.
in the current world,
Yeah.
Kai and Zedi are really taken completely out of it, but they awake when somebody decides, "Hey, you have a demon locked up. I'm going to make him my familiar." And but by doing that, they actually wake him up. He retains his power. He gets Zedi alive again, and they find out that they're missing Zedi's wife and Zedi's, younger sibling, and they pick up this street urchin who's just lovely, and the way they treat her and the way she gloms onto them with this safety. It really builds up that these are the safe people, these are the good people, and the way they treat her is just lovely. So those are the kind of parallel stories, I think. And the modern world is like, yeah, let's take this boat, which is a whale, and let's get that boat, which is owned by the wrong people who have betrayed us. Someone tries to grab that boat back and they make a barge. And yeah, as Lisa said, it seemed to just go from place to place. But ultimately, they're just trying to free Zeddy's wife, who's locked in some witch cells and blah, blah, blah. I think that's it.
So, Sarah, you said, forgotten the wording now, like the past was sort of just information and background and filling in.
Information on how they got to where they were, which is what I thought. That's what I guessed. I don't know. You guys finished. My guess was it was like how he was trying to remember, but
exciting news. The past is the only place where any interesting action happened.
Yeah.
I think there were actually 4 timelines, possibly 3. Only 2 of them were in the book. Like, there's getting out of the prison and getting our whale boat and going and finding Taran. And I was worried for half the book that Taran or her brother would turn out to have betrayed them, because they were like, how would she not have come and found us? And I'm like, oh, no, don't. But no, I can spoil a bit of that if you want, but there's not huge adventure. Way back in the past, we have that story, and then there's a whole lot of intrigue that happened that ends up with 2 main characters locked in an underwater prison that obviously sets up this entire future current story, but we never get details on what happened in that part of the timeline. And yeah, so I don't know. All the story happened in the past, and there's a cool action adventure rebellion that happens in the past bit of the story, and there's not much story that happens in the present.
And it gets to the end, and it's like, oh, well, what do we do now? Let's just go wander off and find something to do. It's basically the very end of
Very
it.
little. Very
I'm like, is that it?
Very literally.
Is that it? Okay.
Do you know what it lends me to think of, the way you were just explaining it there, Shane? Captain America. Because Captain America, the first movie, is all about how he ends up in the ocean, frozen. And then we get the whole reconciling with what the hell happened in the 50 years or however long he was at the bottom of the ocean, frozen for, right? And it's very, like, there's an interesting story there, and then there's an interesting story here. The way you're describing it is like Captain America wakes up, someone wakes him up in the bottom of the ocean. Was it Iron Man? I think it was. I don't remember. Because that's kind of not important, right? It was just kind of like, okay. And then he is grappling with it and then going back to the past to figure out how he got there.
Yeah.
That's basically the story. Sick. And I'm kind of like, sort of like, okay, so, but yeah, I feel like there's 2 good stories there, but trying to make them meld is really hard. Yeah. And in the present day, did they ever find the wife?
Yeah.
Oh, they did.
Right near the end.
She was locked in the witch cell.
Yeah.
Cool. And she had a brother that she didn't like, but would still.
They found him. He was just doing some archaeology somewhere where they thought he might be.
That's sort of where it meets up, where the past and the future meets up, because he's flooded this temple thing, and they find him at doing like archaeology stuff at the flooded temple. Yeah. That's going to be one of the most interesting parts, is the temple action.
Yeah, that part
was the most interesting parts to me. Yeah, and that's.
And then they were like,
yeah,
did he betray us, or is he just an idiot? Like,
yeah.
It is
Why didn't you look for us? Oh, I didn't think about it.
He didn't even know. He was just completely oblivious, and that's the story.
Hyperfixation station.
Yeah.
He was just off doing his archaeology thing where he had no contact with everyone, and he's like, "What's happening? What?" And they're like, "Did you betray us?" And he's like, "What the hell's going on?" Here, put on this cool diving stuff that can let you breathe underwater, and go on like a trip underneath all this water thing that you completely flooded with a can intention and go find this special thing that will help us find the wife. That was interesting. That bit.
Yeah.
Well, there's
Yeah.
other pieces of it. Like what's
Yeah.
not said is how did he turn from a demon to a witch king? And that was because during one of these fights, he accidentally jumped into the body of an impositor, expositor,
Yeah, something like
Yeah.
that.
and so he gets all of his
Yeah.
Can evil
power.
be
But
said?
that's not
Oh.
even really explained that well. Or
Yeah. And he's not a witch. He's a demon.
I
And
think
he's
there's
not a
real
Yeah.
similarities between
and
witches
the
and
body
demons.
that he was inhabiting wasn't a king, but
No, I
but
think
his
it's
mother
just
was a
his
queen. Was that right? She was
His
like the queen of the
grandmother,
underworld?
grandmother,
his
something
grandmother
of the
was the
underworld.
queen, and he was the
In the
fourth
underworld.
prince. So don't know
The
what
fourth
As a
happened
prince,
prince,
to
I
the
yeah.
other
guess.
three
Yeah.
Yeah,
princes.
yeah, yeah, that's right.
I wanted
That
to
wasn't
ask.
really explained why they called him that. I think it's just because they made him that name, like Bashar sort of got him that now when he was a prince, and yeah.
Lots
Not
of nodding
sure
and
which Witch
eyebrows
King.
and
Not sure how the name Witch King came to be. I think they just went, yeah, that's what we're going to call you and going to make
That'll
everybody call you
do. That sounds great. That sounds great.
There was some really silly parts, like at some point, I think in one of the past ones, the person who had befriended him, who you think for a while, maybe he was the one who betrayed him. You know, he's trying to talk to people and do his politicking, and people are shooting at him. So the fourth prince steps in front of him and takes the hit because if he gets hurt in pain, it actually increases his power. So he's acting as a human fucking shield, and you're like, why don't you just get a shield? You have these things called shields. Why are you acting like a personal shield? Are you an idiot? So
Because
I
he
had a
doesn't want
lot
to
of the book.
take, he doesn't want to carry it. You can't get, how hard is it to get men to carry all their own shit? Sorry, Shane. They want to put it in your handbag constantly. So why is he going to
Don't
carry
get
a
me
shield?
started.
Although it did have the effect where he doesn't pull the arrows out because it looks awesome and it's really like it's a real thing. So he's like, let him hit me, just gonna leave him there because it looks awesome.
Yeah, and
Oh,
people
so I
are
had
like,
that
I just-
Zoolander thing.
I just wanted to ask.
powerful.
I didn't hear from Nay. How much Naomi? How much did you read?
I read probably about 25 to 30%. I
Same
didn't
as
get
me.
very far through. But like I got to a point where I was like, I thought it was me. I thought I was the problem because I'm very much a mood reader. So I was like, maybe I'm just not enjoying it because I'm not in the mood for this kind of a story. But just hearing everyone being like, no, I wasn't sort of vibing with it either. I'm like, okay, maybe it wasn't me. Maybe it was just the story is not for me. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, I have also reread all of the Anita Blank Laurel K. Hamilton in the last month. So, which is 30 books. So that was the vibe I was going with at the moment. So,
right.
That's a lot of reading.
Yeah, if you're not in the mood, you're not in the mood. I'm sorry, Alyssa, go for it.
No, go ahead, Jay.
I read this, started this last year and got, I guess, about 30% in. And so I was kind of excited when it came up on the book club because, it's an excuse to go back and pick up this book I just never bothered to reopen. Starting again at the beginning was way more interesting because I got the references. They weren't just weird little things. I'm like, I've got a bit of context. I was going to say, people were talking about him like tanking the arrow shots or using his demon power. And when Murderbot does something like that, I love it. I'm like, inject that into my veins. That's fantastic. In this book, I was just, but like, take cover. I think it's possibly because Murderbot is constantly yelling at the humans to please stop standing where they're shooting arrows at you.
Yeah. And Murderbot's always also like, here I go again doing it. I'll be in the frickin' thing later, being repaired. Here we go. Like it's very what's the word? Like begrudgingly helping out.
Yeah.
It's like
I'd rather
begrudgingly
be
taking an
watching
arrow.
Sanctuary Moon.
I'd rather be doing this, but instead I'm taking a fucking bullet for you idiots because you wouldn't listen to me.
Possibly my absolute favorite line of the Murderbot series out of like amazingly stiff competition is when he's pretending he's smuggled aboard whatever shuttle and pretending to be not there, or a security consultant, and runs in and saves somebody and notices that it's now in the middle of everyone and goes, "Oh, Murderbot, what have you done?" Yeah, that's beautiful. That's perfect. I have a good way to tell the characters in this book apart, by the way, or at least to remember who's who. Ignore the names. I found myself just waiting until the character that was being talked about snarked at Kai. And I was like, oh, that's your snark. It's the flirty, I'm into you snark, or it's the we've been allies forever snark.
Oh.
All right, okay, that's which one you are. Now I know.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was also pretty dark. Like, I think, um, okay. Oh, do you want to say something, Lisa? Do you have more to say?
No, thank you so much. I'm sorry it was short and sweet.
No, it's good to
Wow.
see you.
It was good to see you.
Yeah.
Running away. See you,
Read my
Lisa.
messages to you, Lisa.
Secret ones. Bye.
I completely forgot what I was going to say. It was probably not very exciting. Like this book.
It was dark.
Yeah, you were
Oh, it was
talking about
dark.
dark.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. So, when they ended up like the shell, there was the whale thing, which was kind of cool. And I was like, if this was just an adventure, like I got shades of. Do you remember that book we read? I actually really liked it, but it was also quite dark by the end of it. The one with the guy whose eyes were sewn shut, and it was a lot of Native American
Oh, yes.
ethos
yeah,
had been
yeah.
packed into it.
I have
It
to.
was really
Yeah.
cool. I really enjoyed
Yeah.
it.
Have to
But
look it up on the list.
I got like there was those shades of that where how they had their sigils, and they would be like they had like the water strider was one of them, and then there were massive water striders that they
Yeah.
would use to track. Yeah, so I had a bit of that, and there was big crows, and yeah, so I was like, okay, oh, this is cool. And then he sent the whale on its way, which I thought was good, nice, and everything. But I also thought there was some cool stuff in there. Because at first I thought that the girl was saying it was a whale because she'd never seen a boat.
Mm.
And that's what I thought it was. And I thought, well, that's fair. That's a good point. Like, that makes sense. And then they got on the other boat, which apparently was supposed to be someone's boat, but it wasn't their boat. It was somebody else's boat. And I was like, I don't know who anybody is. This is all very confusing. They seem to think it's really important, but I couldn't care less. But when they went down into the bottom and there were all of the people who were being basically zombified, that I was like, oh God, is this the kind of book? I think it's going to be that kind of book. And I was like, oh, this is really dark, real body horror kind of stuff. I was like, I'm not sure about this. Did that kind of get worse?
No.
I wouldn't say
No.
worse. I would say more of the same kind.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, similar, but no.
Yeah, because that means that magic system of draining people for their power, that's quite an intense one, isn't it? Like,
Yeah. And they were freed and put on the shore and fed and taken care of, and the bad guy on the shore that would have hurt them was taken care of, and everything was good. Kai was a Mary Sue.
Yeah.
I just wondered if there was more of that
them.
darkness in the world of like that kind of
It didn't he didn't drain too many people. Like, he didn't like doing it by the sounds of it. It's not something he wanted to do, so he did it very little. And yeah, it didn't really go. I don't think that many people died in horrible ways after that, and those people didn't die. Yeah. So
I think it could have just been a short story with the current, because some of that stuff was cool, and what he did and who he and all that palace intrigue was a bit dull.
Yeah, there was definitely like bits where I was like, oh, this is interesting, and then it was like, oh, okay. Like the bit with the whale, I was like, I really enjoyed that he's like had to talk to the whale, and he was like, okay, and the whale's like, why should I trust you? And he's like, this is why. And like that he had to get the whale on side, so the whale, like, I enjoyed that, but
me too.
there was so much of it that I was
too.
like, I don't understand what's going on.
Yeah, and that was so interesting. And I thought, oh, did the whale come back? It was one of those things where I was like, there could be a setup of like the whale comes back to save the day kind of thing.
It's just like free, and that was it. Bye, whale. Yeah, but all these nice little touches. add it up
Yeah.
together. Yeah.
Sorry.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, that's all I have to say about it.
I do wonder whether I would have done better if I hadn't done audio, because I would have been able to flick back to the character list at the beginning to remind myself who people were, and go, and when I go, wait, is this the past or the present? I could have just looked, flicked back a page and looked. Whereas you can't do that in the audiobook, and I kept going.
Yeah. Whereas I was in a
now?
position at 30, which is why I posted. I was like going, like, should I continue? Because I think I'm going to have to get the audio book, because I'm struggling to sit down with the physical book. Because to be fair, I was flicking to the whole areas a lot, to the point like it was distracting to go every time I'm doing something. I'm having to I can't remember anybody. Like, two of the place names are so similar. Like, there's Crack and Arac and Arakan or something. Do you remember, Shane, in that map?
They had a
a
lot of similar names at the end.
Why have you got two names of places that are really, really similar? This is ridiculous.
All of these places, sorry, you're never going to see that, but all of them end in Eric.
Right.
There. I forgot to look. I stopped looking at it. So there's Sidal Eric, Nianteric, Discara Eric, Renital, Sanea, Benay, and Bades.
That's sort of
And
like
they're-
Stan.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Kyrgyzstan and
Yeah.
Stan and
Snake and Scarif, and I'm like, I don't care where they are.
And a lot of them turn out to be effectively country names or
when I
like
started
Eric
as well,
people.
I'm like, this is east of that. I'm like, oh, so the map's actually this way.
Right.
Would you not have just
interesting.
made that north? That would have just been
I was
easier.
so confused by that when they said in it that they were going east to do something.
Yeah.
And I looked at it and went, no, according to this map, that's to the south. So I don't know who this lady is who can fly, but apparently her sense of direction's terrible. And she's very confused.
When they said it was like east of there, so that was
Yeah.
like, one of those was east, and then that was north. So that way was
right.
Yeah, that was north, and I'm like, you couldn't have just said that was north.
Is
No,
there
there's
a
no
north on there?
No.
Because I sat there going,
That's what I was
okay, her
looking
sense
at.
of direction is completely off. She's like me when I went to the Northern Hemisphere, and I kept walking in the wrong direction because the sun was in the wrong place. Like, that was her, as far as I could tell.
So
I'm like, you couldn't have just said Mouth of Flowers was north and then made this map the right way up.
So, Kirsten, are you listening to audiobooks in the car?
Sometimes
because that makes it hard to go back. Like, I found that with the audiobook, I could jump back and forth, but not if I was driving.
Yeah, the audiobook I had chapter names, and all the chapter names for the past sections are just the past, and then it was 1 to 14, and then the ones in the middle were the past. But then you'd have to look, and that's what I was saying as well. It would have been good if it had like the extras
while I was listening.
Yeah.
So I wasn't looking at, like, it might have actually been better if I was in the car, because in the car it would have been up on the screen, the chapter name. I would have seen the past, but because the phone was sitting here and it goes to sleep, like it only it keep playing the sound, but the screen would be gone.
Yeah.
Then I'd have to stop what I was doing and then click it to look, and so I didn't very often. So maybe that was part of it. But I would also, I think a lot of my problem is I don't tend to listen to the end of the chapter because I often get interrupted and have to do something else.
That's right.
So I would then it was more the starting a new chapter. And usually with every audiobook, there's like, I'm listening to a few like sentences before I go, oh yeah, that's right. That's where we were up to. That's what was going on. And with this one, I'd listen to the first few bits and I'd still be like, wait, where are we up to? What's going on? So it's partly obviously my fault, but I think
I think you've got too many people in this room. Like, I love audiobooks too, which is why I was tempted, because I was like, well, I can do them when I'm doing everything else.
Yeah.
I can cook while I'm listening to an audiobook, and I can work out or go for a walk or clean or do the laundry. Like, it's great. It's like incidental exercise, but incidental reading. I love that. But I I was having the same problem, but it reversed you, where I was going, I think if I'm going to attempt this at all, I can't keep reading it because this isn't working, because I was doing the same thing. I kept having to go, I'd pick it back up again and I'd have to go back several pages, go, where the fuck am I? What are we doing?
Yep.
And so I was doing that with a physical book. So, I don't think you were, I think this is,
Yeah.
which leads me to my question. Has anyone read any of Martha Wells' fantasy before? Because she's written lots of stuff, right? And she's written a whole fantasy series. Now, have you read any of her fantasy stuff?
No, this is my first one that I've read of her fantasy stuff.
Yeah.
I started the books of the Raksura are the series that I've seen her name on a lot, I think, or I've seen that series around forever. I tried starting one and it didn't hold me at all. Like, oh, I enjoyed it and I didn't pick it up at some point, so I'm like 10-15% in or something. Yeah. I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
What I can't figure out is that this book is a New York Times bestseller and she got all the awards and the nominations and the stuff. And it's like, really? Like that many people liked it? Because clear from this group that you all had
I knew that this book had lots of awards and was really highly regarded, and I started reading it, and that's again another reason why I was like,
yeah,
is it me? Am I the problem?
Yeah, I felt
I just
exactly the same
wasn't
way,
getting
Nay.
it.
I was like, that's why I was like, I need to double check with you guys. Is it just me? And you all were like, no, it's not. I was like, and that surprises me because we're a pretty well-read bunch of people through both the fantasy and the sci-fi genres, right? We know our authors. We know, we've read history and lore of certain worlds and books. We've done Arthur C. Clarke and we've done Octavia Spencer. We've done it. So are they seeing something we're not, or are they just kidding themselves?
I gotta say, being on the New York Times bestseller list is not much of a flex these days.
No, it's really
not.
not.
And also, like, how many people did what we did and went, I love Murderbot, I'm going to buy this.
Yes,
and did
that's what you need. It's just
enjoying, like,
just a sale number.
Selling a lot and having a lot of people read it and enjoy it are not the same thing.
Yeah, that's why I wasn't so surprised that it was a bestseller, but I was surprised that it got all the accolades.
Yeah.
It got like a bunch of like awards, not just New York Times bestseller, but there was like a bunch of awards. And I was like, oh, then, if it's getting all these awards, like someone has to like it. But I need to meet these people and ask them what it was that because like none of the characters drew me in and the story didn't draw me in. So what is drawing you into this book?
Yeah.
Like you need to have one or the other. You either need to have really compelling characters or a really compelling story, or both. But you have to have at least one or the other.
It didn't have beautiful prose either. Like that's not my jam, but I know lots of people like the flowery, beautiful prose. Like quite often those books will win lots of awards, and I'll go, well, that wasn't for me.
Yeah,
it's not my thing.
I
get why other people like it.
Yeah,
but this didn't have that either, or at least not that I noticed, because it's not something I look for.
Yeah. What was that book we read at the time? It was the two assassins.
This is how you win a time war, was it?
Yeah.
This is how you win the time war. And I did enjoy it, but that was very prose heavy, and there was a lot of flick from memory that also jumped around in time. But boom tish. So yeah, but I remember going, but I think that's probably why won a lot of awards was a lot of the prose, because it was, and I tell you, speaking of prose, one of the ones that I really enjoyed that was very sort of prose heavy, oh God, what's her name? Circe. That was the one I really enjoyed. That was beautifully written.
Ellen Miller,
yeah, beautifully written. And I haven't read her other one yet, and I need
really
to.
Good too.
Yeah, I want to read it, especially because that guy Oliver Reichman, who does all those great Song a Day one, he did the most beautiful song based on chapter 6, and I'm like, I have to read this book now.
Okay.
Yeah, if you like Circe, you will enjoy Achilles.
Yeah,
Even if you didn't like Circe, I think you'd enjoy Achilles. But if you enjoyed Circe, I think you will also enjoy Achilles.
Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. Do it one of my next ones. Yeah. Sorry, not to get off track, but we always get off track.
Yeah. I was going to say, like we were talking about on the chat, like some audiobooks come with bonus downloadables,
Yes.
like PDFs and things. I'm like, they should, like, she had the characters written. Why not just put that as the bonus? That you can download that and
In
look at
libraries,
it in
when
that.
you get it from the library, is that easy
Not
enough for
many.
them to add the PDFs? Because I know
It should be.
I know other
It's usually
audio, like
tied together.
Apple or
Yeah.
Google or Audible, it's easy enough to get the PDF of it.
Mm.
Like I'm pretty sure.
I
feel
don't
like
have one. I know I've read one with one, but I
Me
don't have
too.
one on the Audible. So I'm thinking it must have been
Yeah.
a library book that had that in it, embedded in it somehow.
Yeah.
Either that or I had some kind of link. But
I
yeah,
know I
I'm
listened
sure it
to
was.
what's her name? One of our favorite sci-fi. We have so many favorite sci-fi authors. The one who's amazing at reading. She's an amazing narrator. Mary Robinette Canal. Yeah, right. Now
Lady Astronaut.
I always listen. Thank you. That but it was the one. It's the mystery aboard. It was there's the murder mystery one on board.
The murder mystery on the boat, on the
Yes, on the boat, on the ship. Yes. That I always listen to her stuff because she's such an incredible narrator, right? I won't read a physical book because why would I miss out on hearing her narrate? She's amazing. Basically how I feel about Tennessee Taylor stuff. So, but I do remember she had PDFs attached to them, like with her cocktails in it. Like there was a whole and the map of what the ship looked like. Remember, like how the ship was designed. So, and I'm trying to remember how, like, I printed that out. So I'm like, how did I get my hands on that?
I don't remember because I'm pretty sure you gave it to me and I listened to the audiobook.
Like, I have it here.
Yeah.
Wow.
I wonder if she said, maybe she said something at the beginning, which is very smart to say, for those of you listening to an audiobook, if you would like a map or a list of characters, please visit my website at Mary Corbin.
Yeah.
Like, that's how you do it,
Yeah.
right?
And I think like you always get a description that they can put a link in the description to just a web page. Because I reckon I've had that before where they've put a link for a web page in the yeah. I know I get that in ebooks sometimes. They'll just have a link to web page and they'll just update that web page.
And Brandon Sanderson's definitely had that where there's been PDFs or something attached to his
because I had an argument with somebody on Audible from one of the Audible staff because there is a PDF on the American Audible but not on the Australian one. And I was and they tried to tell me that it didn't exist at all. And I'm like, here's a Reddit post where someone screenshotted it. It exists on the American one. And I'm like, I get if you say to me, oh, there's a, rights issue. I'm sorry about that, but we can't give it to you. At least tell me that. Don't fucking lie to me and say the American one doesn't exist. Anyway, and before I forget, on the topic of this, the book that I listened to before this book was Mary Robinette's latest Lately Astronauts. So not only was I having high expectations because I love Murderbot, I've come off a book that was really good and went to this and it was like,
That was the last book I listened to as well, the most recent Lady Astronaut book. So going from that is my most recent Audible and reading all the Anita Blake, it was just this book was falling really flat because I wasn't getting anything from it.
Yeah.
Oh, and yes, I've been listening to Anna Green Gable's series on LibriVox, and it's just they're like old friends, but I also haven't read past like a part of Avonlea, so that's been quite nice to kind of catch up in that world. So yeah, same thing. It's like come into this and you're like, oh, but I'm getting all the like the amazing characters that Lucy Maud Montgomery had, that you just like I'll tell you what you're like, that's Mrs. Rachel Lynde, and that's you've got everybody's very particular, and so you're like, I don't know, but they're like, yeah, exactly what do you see. You see, it's like it's just meaningful looks.
Sarah, the book you were talking about before, it was Black Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse.
Thank you. Yes, I really did enjoy that, but it was
like,
also so dark at the end, and I was like, do I keep reading this series? I kind of want to, but I'm kind of exhausted.
Need to recharge. You need to recharge for that one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Grabby characters and grabby books. I think Sarah, you were mentioning Game of Thrones before, and made me think something that George was incredible at was always having a character that I was keen to get back to.
Mm-hmm.
It
Yes.
changed who it was.
Yes.
Like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and
100%.
people I completely hated in the early books then became riveting and then
Amen.
died horribly. And I'm like, damn you, George Martin. But there's
Yeah.
this new person that I'm interested in now. And
Yeah.
there's like, yeah.
I remember, like, because I think it was like book 3 that you finally got a Jamie Lannister point of view. And
Yep.
after hating him with the Fire of a Thousand Suns for the first 2
Yep.
books, suddenly you get in his brain and you're like, hang on a minute, I think I kind of like this guy. And it was
Yes,
like
absolutely.
the skill it takes to make me take someone that I hate and start making me like them.
Yep.
It's so clever. But I think I nearly brought this up before when we were talking about that before. Something George did though was he didn't start with the 50,000 characters, right?
No.
He
Right.
started more narrow. Like you look at book 1, you're mostly getting Stark point of view people. And so he starts narrow and then he starts adding another one and adding another one and adding another one. So by the time you've got 50 characters, you actually know who all those 50 characters are.
Yeah.
You've got them all a little bit at a time and you weren't thrown into all of them all at the same time. And I think he was a lot more skilled at doing that, although he also took a lot more space and he had a lot more words to work with.
Yeah.
And if I can quickly, something that he did, like, you're spot on that he sort of had a narrow focus, and he used that narrow focus because he just had the Starks focus on their local story. They knew a lot of the wider politics, and if we had have gotten their wider politics, then we wouldn't have bought into their end of the story so well as we did when he started at Narrow. And you heading south with there. Ned Stark is a really noble guy and going to just noble up this whole noble thing. This is great. And it's later that we find like, no, there's a lot more complicated. And George, whereas Martha telling us, oh yeah, all these other political intrigues that I don't understand and I don't know why they're on the page.
And I was just reflecting a bit actually on Murderbot, and it's been really interesting with the show because what I always had with the other with the humans, the crew, I other than I can't believe I can't remember her name.
Menza,
like the head honcho. Other than Menza, they often just kind of blended into each other because the names are all, Pinley was the only other one that would stand out in my head because everybody else had a sort of a slightly it was kind of the Indian continent meets Arab, like those kind of pronunciation of vowels and letters together. And I would find it hard. And also, but I didn't worry about it because Murderbot didn't care because that was part of it. To Murderbot, everybody looked the same. Mensa's the boss. That's all I need to know. So that's why I didn't really kind of stress too much about it. And then as you kind of get to know them, and then particularly like Grantham kind of comes out and everything, you're like, and Pinley is like the lawyer who kind of solves everything. And then you start to get to know them as Murderbot starts to get to know them and realize who does what and what their individual kind of but I did have that problem in Murderbot. I remember that distinctly going, I don't remember who and doesn't, but it didn't actually, for that particular story, didn't matter because Murderbot didn't care.
And that is cunningly done, I think, in the Murderbot series. And
your cat is beautiful.
Oh, the moose. Yes, this is the moose. This is the
He's
moose.
Gorgeous.
He's 19 and a half.
Look at his coloring.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yes, we love the moose.
Little old man. Yeah.
Yeah. He's deaf, arthritic, but he seems okay. And I'm not ready to part with him yet. He should. I want him to go on his own terms, which it's hard sometimes for cats to like make their minds up. But I want him to go on his own terms. Yeah. Because I don't want to have to make the decision. So
no, it's not a fun decision to have to make, Sarah. So
no.
One thing I want to say about the George R.R. Martin books is I read them all and I could not pick up fiction for 6 months afterwards because all the people I cared about died. And I don't want to get involved with anybody else that I might like. So 6 months.
Even
It's
people
like
that
you
I
don't
hate.
have to. Yeah.
Even
Sorry,
people
go
that
on,
I
Kim.
hate died.
Even
It's
people I
like you
hate.
don't even have to read George R. R. Martin or Brandon Sanderson to know that people love him and hate him because they kill his good character.
Yeah. Kill your darlings. Isn't that the saying?
Kill
Kill your
darlings in
darlings. Yeah.
droves.
And there's the
Yeah.
idea that you have to earn it. And he doesn't earn it. He just does it.
I think, though, as a plot device, though, killing off Ned Stark was one of the most brilliant
Amazing.
Yes.
aspects of that. Is like, and because and if you think about it in a lot of ways, that is actually the inciting incident to the
Yes.
rest of it.
Oh,
Like you could, to the entire saga, that is the inciting
yes.
incident. It's not the inciting incident of that particular book. The inciting incident is actually when his friend the king arrives, and then everything gets kicked off from there. But the whole
Yeah.
saga, the reason everybody's course is on a Game of Thrones is
Okay.
because Ned's knocked off,
It's okay.
which is
Okay.
These aren't spoilers, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's familiar with the whole.
I would hope that
Yeah.
by now
Familiar
people
enough.
know
yeah. Look, and
about
it's played by
Ned
Sean
Stark.
Bean. If there's one thing
Oh, yeah,
Sean Bean
yes.
does well,
Yes. Yeah.
We
He
were
doesn't die in
watching
The
it.
Martian.
We were watching.
Is that the
Friends
only movie he doesn't die in?
I don't know, but I was watching someone do a reaction video to The Martian the other day.
and he's like, he's still alive.
Because they have that whole bit where they're like, the Council of Elrond, and they make this whole big joke about it.
we were watching the whatchamacallit, the George Martin series with a friend who was a week or two behind, and The Red Wedding. And he kept saying, well, I haven't watched it, but people are talking about it. But, I reckon people don't die because it's TV, and we're like,
Oh my God.
yeah.
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 See, I
Yeah,
read
the
the
TV
books
based on
before
a
I
book.
watched the TV show, and I remember so clearly sitting down to watch that episode with Matt, who hadn't read the books, and I was watching his face instead of the show because I was waiting for it to happen, and I knew he was going to flip, and I was just on the edge of my seat waiting for it because it was so funny.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah.
Have we finished talking about
I think we have.
Yeah, we're
Probably.
getting
Yeah.
Worn it out.
discussion about other books.
yeah and kind of ways that we think that like, because there's good ideas. Maybe I'll just finish off to say, or my final thought, other people might have final thoughts. I think there's some really strong ideas and strong world ideas. I just don't think things got built as well as they could have been, and the structure of the story wasn't to my taste. But there was really good magic systems and lore, and there was so much. But I think trying to figure out how to place it all is where the author obviously had some struggles, or had a set idea and possibly no one felt like they could tell her what to do because she's had this incredible thing. Like that has happened to who, when they should have edited book 5 and they didn't.
I feel like that's like, as much as you guys know how much of a Brandon Sanderson fan I am, I feel like that was the issue with his last book too. It's like they're too big now. None of the editors.
Nobody wants to tell him.
Yeah.
You need to shorten this. Yeah.
Down.
Yeah. Cool. Well, Mel, if you happen to be there, is anyone else got any final thoughts?
Nope, I think you summed it up pretty good.
Hi, Mel.
Agreed. Hey, Mel. Fully agreed.
Yes, Liam, I'm back to shut you down.
Yeah.
Just so anybody else who's out there who's listening, our next book pick is The Mermaid, the Witch, and the Sea, by Maggie Tokuda Hall, who is Kirsten's pick, which has got a very beautiful cover. So if anybody wants to read that one with us. Night.
Yay.
Oh, no.
That's good.
Of course.